So it's also worth noting is that at the start of 2022, after your Series C fundraising, you actually became the latest of a long line of unicorns in Indonesia, just a little bit north of $1 billion. But as we mentioned, funding things right now and funding expansions are a lot more expensive, a lot trickier now than it was, say, 3-4 years ago. Do you have any plans for future fundraising, sir?
So at the moment, thankfully, if you notice, we actually raised the Series C during COVID-19, where admittedly we were burning quite a bit of money, just like any other retail regionally. But as per this year, due to the disappearance of COVID, well, it's still there, but it's no longer a factor to retail. We are actually able to become profitable again, right? So for the expansion in Indonesia, it's actually self-funded by our own internal capital, whereas for our international expansion, we have raised enough for our Series C. But despite that, we do believe that as we have more and more countries, obviously funding needs would be a lot more as well. So that is why I think going forward, we do plan to raise again for our pre-IPO round, and hopefully that can fuel our international expansion further, because we only need additional capital for international expansion or our new business, but for our core business in Indonesia is basically self-sustaining in terms of expansion as well.
So you said a pre-IPO. Does that mean that you're going to do one more fundraising tranche and then head to the public markets in Jakarta? And if so, when do you think that actually might happen?
So maybe a quick correction as well. We don't necessarily have to IPO in IDX.
Okay.
I think the venue is pretty much still open, right? We can IPO in SGX, HKEX, or even Nasdaq as well. I think we have the luxury of time at the moment. We are not in a rush to go public. The reason why we only need one more round before IPO is because based on our funding needs, it's very hard to imagine that we need multiple rounds before the IPO. I think that's the main reason here. But as per the time and the venue, we are still undecided, but it should be around 2025 to 2027. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just to also take note that you are one of the fastest growing coffee chains in Indonesia, but it's also a fairly competitive market. How do you guys set yourself apart from the Jcos and the other Indonesian coffee chains, and even the Starbucks that calls Indonesia home?
Mm-hmm. So I think one of our DNA is a grab-and-go coffee chain. If you think about it, most of the legacy coffee chain, they employ a pretty large space, third-home business model, as what Howard Schultz coined it, right? And that's why a typical Kenangan store is only around 12 meter to 30 meter square in space, whereas our legacy counterpart is typically around 100 to 200 meter square. So that is why using this grab and go business model, we are able to offer similar if not better quality at a much more affordable pricing. And then on top of that, we have a localized menu as well. Actually, if you think about it, most global chain is proud of being consistent across different markets, whereas for Kenangan, we try to go hyper-local, whereas before we enter into any market, we always do FGD and we adjust the taste accordingly. For example, I think in Indonesia versus Singapore, the sweetness level is 40% less. So we use 40% less sugar compared to Indonesia. And then on top of that, it seems like the market in Singapore wants a much more premium bean. We actually choose to go, like for example, this Americano that I'm drinking is a double shot Arabica. So the taste profile is very different, and we try to cater to different market. And at the end of the day, we only cater it towards the sweetness level and beans profile.